Welcome on Easy Learning. Today I am going to now start a new chapter, Mother India, written by Subhash Chandra Bose. In this part of the video, I will read about the author Subhash Chandra Bose and the chapter. And in the next parts of the video, I will at first explain about Subhash Chandra Bose, and the other parts of the video, I will explain the chapter. So before wasting the time, I am going to start reading chapter Mother India. Subhash Chandra Bose, born in 1897 and died in 1948, popularly called Netaji, was a great nationalist leader of the first half of the 20th century. He led the Revolutionary Indian National Army during World War II to liberate India. His first conscious step as the revolutionary was to resign from the civil services on the premise that the best way to end a government is to withdraw from it. British insults to Indians in public places were offensive to him. On August 18, 1945, he was en route to the Soviet Union in a Japanese plane when it crashed in Tapia. He is believed to have died in the crash. Netaji was religious and spent much time in meditation. This aspect of his life is best reflected in the letter Mother India, which wonderfully brings out the concern of a sensitive son. Mother India, Cuttack, Saturday. Revered Mother, today is the final day of the puja, so you must now be in our country, home engrossed in the worship of the goddess. I expect the puja this year will be performed with great pomp and ceremony. But Mother, is there any need of pomp and ceremony? It is enough if we invoke the one we seek to attain with all our heart and in all sincerity. What more is needed? When devotion and love take place of sandalwood and flowers, our worship becomes the most sublime thing in the world. Pomp and devotion are incompatible. This year I have a pang in my heart. It is a great sorrow, not an ordinary one. I shall be pining away at this place on the immersion day, but at heart I shall be with you all. There will be no happiness for me on such a sacred day. There is no help for it now. Tomorrow evening we shall send you our pronouns from here. India is God's beloved land. He has been born in this great land in every age in the form of the Savior for the enlightenment of the people, to rid this earth of sin and to establish righteousness and truth in every Indian heart. He has come into being in many countries in human form, but not so many times in any other country. That is why I say India, our motherland, is God's beloved land. Look, Mother, in India you may have anything you want: the hottest summer, the severest winter, the heaviest rain, and again the most heart-warming autumn and spring. Everything you want. In the Deccan, I see the Godavari with her pure and sacred waters reaching up to its banks, wending its way eternally to sea, a holy river indeed. I am reminded of another saying: the Ganges is on its course, carrying away all the filth of this world. The yogis have collected on its bank. Some have half-closed eyes, engrossed in their morning prayers. Some have built images and are worshipping them with sweet-smelling flowers collected from the forest, and with burning sandalwood and incense. Mantras chanted by some of them are being echoed and re-echoed through the atmosphere. Some are purifying themselves with the holy water of the Ganges. Some again are humming to themselves as they collect flowers for the puja. Everything is so noble and so pleasing to the eye as well as to the mind. But alas, where are those high-souled seers today? O merciful God, take pity on us and save us. Mother, when I sit down to write a letter, I lose all sense of proportion. I hardly know what I am going to write and what I am able to write. Mother, I wonder if Mother India in this age has one single selfless son. Is our motherland really so unfortunate? Alas, what happened to our hoary past? You are a mother, but do you belong only to us? No, you are the mother of all Indians. If every Indian is a son to you, do not the sorrows of your sons make you cry out in agony? Can a mother be heartless? No, that can never be, because a mother can never be heartless. Then how is it that in the face of such a miserable state of her children, mother remains unmoved? Mother, you have travelled in all parts of India. Does not your heart bleed at the sight of the present deplorable state of Indians? We are ignorant and so we may be selfish, but a mother can never be selfish because a mother lives for her children. If that be so, how is it that mother is unmoved when her children are suffering? Then is the mother also selfish? Faith and bigotry have become rampant, leading to so much sin and so much misery for the people. Mother, does not the sight of all this and the thought of all this move you too deeply and to tears? Do you not really feel this way? This can never be. A mother can never be heartless. Mother, please take a good look at the miserable condition of your children. Sin, all manner of suffering, hunger, lack of love, jealousy, selfishness have made their existence a veritable hell. Alas, what have we come to? Mother, when you think of such things, do you not become restless? Does not your heart cry out in pain? Will the condition of our country continue to go from bad to worse? Will not any son of Mother India, in distress, in total disregard of his selfish interest, dedicate his whole life to the cause of the mother? Mother, how much longer shall we sleep? How much longer shall we go on playing with non-essentials? Shall we continue to turn a deaf ear to the wailings of our nation? How long can one sit with folded arms and watch this state of our country? One cannot wait anymore. One cannot sleep anymore. We must not shake off our stupor and lethargy and plunge into action. But alas, how many selfless sons of the mother are prepared in this selfish age to give up completely their personal interest and take the plunge for the mother? Mother, is this son of yours yet ready? Yours ever affectionately, Subhash.